Sanjay Singhal, and we are here tonight at WSG Design Studios on North Halsted Street in Chicago for the book signing and celebration of my very first book. And here's the book. It's called Aftermath, The Poems for Jane, and it's a collection of poetry that I wrote beginning in December of last year after I survived a very scary, very horrible traffic accident. Coming home from Michigan to Chicago right before Christmas. I was traveling in my truck at about 70 miles an hour and hit black ice on a bridge over the St. Joseph River. The truck careened out of control and plowed headfirst into a concrete wall and then bounced across the highway to end up in the ditch. I have no recollection of the accident whatsoever. The only thing I remember is literally floating above the truck and looking down at it and seeing myself open the door and step out. And then all of a sudden I was back inside my body and back inside the wreck of my car and the wreck of my old life. And this book, Aftermath, The Poems for Jane, is really an examination for me of what that accident meant, not only to myself, but to my friend Jane and to my friend George, who were both with me, and to my life journey, which began literally at the same time. In the spiritual meditations that I've done since then, I've come to realize that that accident on the bridge really was not an accident. It was meant to happen. And there was a break between the old life and the new life. And the new life for me has been this remarkable voice that I've discovered in my poetry and in my writing. After the accident, I was sitting on a plane going to California to see my mother for Christmas. And literally pulled out my journal and my pen and started writing and writing and writing and writing. After about 6 months of an incredible amount of poetry, I realized that this probably could become a book. And in the words of several of my advisors, it should become a book. And so it did. And that book was compiled and put together and published. And that is why we are here today to celebrate the publication.
Excellent. And Sanjay, what after the book signing, what do you hope to pursue? You have this great book now. Is there something else on the docket? Something else coming?
Yes, actually there is. There is a second book in the works. And as I mentioned, Aftermath is the poems for Jane. And the second book, Manifest, are the poems for George, who actually was with me in the truck when the accident happened. The poems in the first book are really about the journey into death and the journey from death into life. And the poems in Manifest, which are for George, are really about the celebration of life. And really are narrative, extended poems which are just different legends and myths retold as bedtime stories in a poetic form.
Excellent. Where can folks find, let's see your book another time here. Hold your book up for me, if you will.
Oh, sure.
The book?
There we go. Can be ordered online at Amazon.com,
okay,
and will hopefully be sold in bookstores in New York and San Francisco by the end of the year.
Excellent.
But if you can't find it there, it's always on Amazon.
Thank you, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you. really totally awesome, and I'm really touched everybody came, especially all of you Michigan people. This is so amazing. Now you know what I do every night when I come north. So the poem I'm going to read tonight is actually the very first poem that I think some of you heard. And this was the poem that I wrote the day after the accident, when I was sitting on the plane and waiting to go to California and realizing that my life had really changed in ways that I couldn't even begin to imagine. So it's Aftermath, Part 1. Mourn not the dead, for the dead do not mourn. Weep for the living and the child yet unborn. Mourn not the dying, the dead who are done, whose races are finished, whose poems are sung. The dead do not miss us, the dead do not care. The dead have departed, and we know not where. The dead have no feelings, the dead have no fears. The dead are no longer, the dead shed no tears. Wherever they are, and wherever they be, the dead have forgotten, the living have we. It is we who remaining with shadows must pay for the pain of the laughter that haunts every day. So weep for the living and those who must tread, alone and forgotten, the road still ahead.